If I woke up tomorrow with zero non-toxic living knowledge, here's exactly how I would create a simple low-tox lifestyle from scratch, starting with these 7 non-toxic swaps. And the one rule that makes this whole thing doable without feeling overwhelming or wasting money: when something runs out, that's your swap moment. You just don't repurchase it. And stick around, because swap number 6 might be the easiest one on this whole list, and it costs nothing. Okay, so the first thing I would tackle is fragrance. A study that tested 25 scented household products found they can release over 100 chemical compounds. Many of them are known to be hormone disruptors. Most of these just hide under one word on the label: fragrance. Here's what I've done. I've eliminated regular perfume, candles, plugins, just about everything that says fragrance on the label, unless it's natural or something that I make myself. I diffuse pure, certified, tested grade essential oils, or I make homemade room sprays if I want scent in a space. But most of the time though, I just go fragrance free and skip it altogether. And remember the one rule: when your plug-in runs out, don't buy the refill. Take that money and get a diffuser, a couple of oils instead. When your favorite perfume runs out, look for a natural body spray, a body butter, a DIY perfume recipe. You're not spending more. You're not doing more. You're just replacing those things with something better when it's already time to replace it anyway. And this one, I wish I had known before, because for years and years, I used plastic everything with my kids as they grew up. Plastic dishes, plastic cups, everything was plastic. I thought that they would break everything. I also used plastic sippy cups. I mean, of course I got the BPA-free ones. Little did I know at the time that the substitute for BPA is actually now being shown to be worse than BPA itself. If I could, I would just go back and use glass. And here's the thing. I was just reading a study about how hot liquid in plastic makes the plastic leak into the liquid. Think about hot beverages or hot food in plastic containers. And one thing I will tell you about microplastics is they're so tiny that they're actually getting into every organ in your body, including your brain. And the problem with microplastics is they cause inflammation. A recent study actually associated them with higher risks of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and metabolic dysfunction. I'll link that study up in case you want to take a look at it. I'll link all of the research that I did in this video if you'd like to learn a little bit more. So what I did here wasn't an overnight transformation. I started buying glass whenever it made sense. So Pyrex containers on sale at Costco or during Prime Amazon Day. I didn't throw out all of my plastic containers. They're still in my pantry. I use them occasionally for cold things, non-food stuff, or when my adult kids come over and grab leftovers to take home after Sunday nights. I don't have to worry about getting those containers back. The swap is glass containers, and you can find a ton of them secondhand at Goodwill. They're full of them. Instead of Ziploc bags, we use silicone storage bags. Those are more of an investment up front, so just wait until they're on sale on Amazon and swap them in as your Ziplocs run out. And here's an easy one that nobody talks about. Food containers that come in glass, like your spaghetti sauce jars, we just reuse those. They become drinking cups or storage with a lid already built in. Mason jars work the same way. I didn't have to go buy anything new, and I didn't have to throw anything away. Next is something that became especially important to me: the water I drink every day. So I grew up drinking Kool-Aid or other flavored drinks, if I'm honest. Once I switched to water, I actually started paying attention to how it tasted, and you can taste if something's off. While tap water is generally safe and regulated, it contains hidden dangers, including industrial forever chemicals, those PFAS, heavy metals like lead leaching from aging pipes, and disinfecting byproducts called DBPs. And according to the Center for Disease Control, long-term exposure to these harmful chemicals can increase your risk of cancer, hormone imbalance symptoms, and neurological issues. And it's not just tap water either. Think about ordering water at a restaurant. that's coming out of a soda fountain that's probably never been deep cleaned. And let's look at bottled water. There was a study that showed just how many microplastic fragments were in bottled water. Now they're saying there's over 240,000 fragments of microplastics in just 1 liter of bottled water. So I finally got the best whole home water filter. I love it. I'm getting the Borax water filters. Those are the replacement for the Berkey water filters for all of my adult kids, for their apartments and as they start having families of their own. Honestly, you could use any water filter. Even a Brita is better than nothing. But the plastic bottle thing, it matters just as much as what's in the water. Also, just swap your plastic reusable water bottles for stainless steel or for glass ones. And if you really want to know what's in your water, you can purchase a water test kit before you invest in anything bigger, because maybe your water's great. Okay, this one, it's just easier. Simplifying laundry means fewer products, less packaging, and less deciding. The same study that I mentioned with fragrance also tested laundry detergents specifically and found they release harmful chemicals that turn into gas easily and end up floating in the air you're breathing, even when you can't see or smell anything. Scented laundry detergent, when you have fragrance that lasts and sticks around, it almost always has PFAS in it, which are the forever chemicals that stay in your body. And the problem with these detergents is you're getting kind of a double whammy of exposure, because you're putting it into your clothes and then you're wearing it on your skin. You're breathing it in and it's being absorbed through your skin. But then it's also hanging in your bedroom. It's hanging in your closet. You're in there breathing the off-gassings from these detergents. Maybe you're sleeping on the sheets that are doing this as well. I mean, it's a big deal. You don't want to have that. I either make my own detergent, which is super easy and inexpensive, and it actually works, or I use unscented. If you want something more convenient, I've been using disposable Clean People detergent sheets. These things are so cool. Barely any packaging, they work well, and there's a fragrance-free option. And think about those big detergent jugs. They are mostly water, so you're paying for all of that waste. These sheets just dissolve, no plastic at all. Dryer sheets work by melting a thin chemical coating, microplastics, into every fiber of your clothes when the dryer heats up. That coating doesn't wash out. It sits right against your skin all day, and it keeps slowly releasing into the air while you're wearing it. Instead, I like to use dryer balls. They are so much better. And if you want something like fabric softener, just pour white vinegar into that same slot. Your clothes won't smell like vinegar, I promise. So just as you start running out of laundry products, start swapping them out. Real quick, can you do me a favor? I would love for you to share in the comments the simple swaps that you're already making or that you've already made, as well as what you're still working on. Now let's talk about cleaning products, because I used to think I needed a different one for every single surface in the house. I'm not saying you need to make everything from scratch. I'm saying you probably don't need 15 products to get your house clean. And one of the strongest cleaners that you could possibly bring into your home, and the one you absolutely don't need, is oven cleaner. I've used it, my mom used it. It is full of so many bad chemicals. It's so bad that I've heard it's killed pet birds. Essentially, when you put those chemicals into your oven, you're breathing them in as you're cleaning, and then you can't possibly get all the residue cleaning, the product off of the oven wall. So it kind of clings to the walls, and then when you turn on the oven again to cook your food, you're cooking your food in those chemicals. I just clean my oven with some baking soda. It works really well. Another cleaning product that you should not be using are drain cleaners. If you have kids in the house, I would just get rid of these altogether. They're dangerous to your lungs as well as to your skin. I use baking soda for my drain, but they do sell some natural enzyme cleaners, and those also work really well. That same fragrance study I mentioned earlier also tested cleaning products and found similar results. Hundreds of different harmful chemicals. Growing up, my mom used to used whatever was cheapest that week. So Comet, Ajax, Lysol, whatever was on sale. I remember scrubbing the bathtub with it as a young mom, rinsing it out, and then putting my kids in that same tub without a second thought. What I've learned since then is I don't need separate products for ovens, hard water stains, mold and mildew, the toilet, the counters. That's mostly marketing. Vinegar handles hard water stains and toilet grime, and I use a cleaning concentrate. It's one small bottle, but it makes 8 to 16 bottles of all-purpose spray. And this stuff is the bomb. It's safe around my 6 kids, working better for me than any of those harsh chemicals. And I use it on counters, sinks, tubs, and showers. And if you know me, or if you've been to my house, you know I like a clean and organized home. So under every sink in my home, that's it. Vinegar, a homemade glass cleaner, and the all-purpose cleaner. Maybe a pumice stone. The real trick isn't the products though, it's the habit. If I dry the glass shower door after I shower, it never builds up water spots. If the sink looks a little dirty, I just grab the spray under the sink, use a wash rag that's already sitting right there, and just clean it in less than 30 seconds. Small habits beat one big dreaded cleaning day every time. Again, as your cleaners run out, replace them with 2 to 3 simple ones that are safe and that work. This one costs nothing, and it might be my favorite swap on this whole list. The first time I ever saw this habit, I was living in Canada for a year and a half. I thought it was just about mud and boots, but once you think about it, it just makes sense. You have no idea what you've walked through all day. Taking your shoes off means you're not tracking that straight into the house. My kids were already older when I started this, so I had to actually put up a sign in the garage when they entered the door telling everyone to take their shoes off. I keep a shoe cleaning spray right there too, in case someone really wants to wear their shoes in the house. They can just clean them first. At the front door, a simple sign works. Something like, "Thank you for taking off your shoes." Even just leaving a row of shoes out by the door gets people to do it automatically. And honestly, I still wear something on my feet, just really comfortable house shoes, not the grandma slipper kind. A University of Arizona study found that the outside of a shoe can carry over 400,000 units of bacteria. Separate research traced lead and pesticide residue tracked indoors on shoe soles. So if you've ever noticed the carpet wearing down faster in your high traffic areas, that's not just color fading, that's dirt and possibly pesticides and lead working into the fibers. And that's the same stuff we end up breathing, especially if we're vacuuming without a HEPA filter. That's actually part of why people buy air purifiers and HEPA filter vacuums, to filter out what we've already brought inside. But this one, we get to stop it at the door before it even gets in. And the last one isn't really about finding the perfect product. It's about asking whether you need quite so many in the first place. Did you know that women are putting 12 to 16 different skin and personal care products on every day? And that doesn't include their makeup. And if those chemicals are unhealthy and you're slathering them all over your body, you're greatly increasing your toxic load, and you could be putting your health at risk. But you don't have to stop using these things altogether. If you know what ingredients to look for and then in turn what to avoid, you can continue to use products that you find valuable. However, I know exactly how much we're marketed to. I have been in business over 25 years. So a lot of what we buy and the routines we build come from somewhere outside of us, not from what we actually need. And a friend shared something with me she does with her kids. Before buying something, she asked, "Is this a 3 love item, like you love, love, love it?" If it's not a clear yes, you probably don't need it. I've started asking that about my own routine. A lot of what I used to buy, I just don't repurchase. Not because I couldn't find a replacement, but because I realized I never needed it in the first place. For the things that I do keep, there are a few words I've learned to scan for on ingredients list because these affect our health and our hormones. Parabens, phthalates, formaldehyde-releasing preservatives, sulfates, aluminum compounds. These are specifically in antiperspirant. They block your sweat glands and you put them right near your lymph nodes and breast tissue, which for me is no bueno. Oxybenzone in sunscreens, toluene in nail polish and hair dye. It's a neurotoxin. PPD in permanent hair dye and dark henna tattoos. And if you don't want to memorize a list of words, because these ingredients actually show up in many different names. So an ingredient list on the back of a bottle can kind of feel like a foreign language. So instead, you can use an app or take a picture and give it to AI to scan a product. So as your personal care products run out, scan it, see if the rating is something you approve putting on or in your body. Oh, and I put a resource in the description that walks you through all of this if you want to keep it handy. Here's a bonus. Not one of the 7, just something worth mentioning. Some things you can control coming into your home, but some things just show up. Wildfire smoke, pollen, dust, or whatever came in on a shoe before you started taking them off. That's where an air purifier can help. It can help filter what's already floating around that we can't always see or smell, which is exactly why my next video is everything that you need to know before you actually buy one. What works, what's just marketing, and what to look for instead. I'll see you there.